Welcome to the Windy City, the metropolis of the Midwest, and our former home, Chicago, USA. Chicago is truly one of America's greatest cities by any metric. Iconic architecture, eventful history, an abundance of events and activities year-round, all four major American sports, although I have a fierce hatred of Chicago's teams because of my Wisconsin roots, and perhaps some of the best food you can find in the country. Today we're going to revisit all of the neighborhoods we used to live, and just have a look around to see what's changed. Since we moved away, we haven't spent any time in Chicago. It's quite a nostalgic feeling to be back in a place that played a major role in our travels. We have arrived at apartment number 1, 1818 North Halsted Street. So this was our first apartment living together, and we really couldn't have timed it better when we moved in. We moved in February of 2020. And then a month later, the craziest thing happened.
The World Health Organization has just declared that this is a pandemic.
That was our apartment right there, that balcony. The first floor was always kind of noisy because Halsted is actually a very busy street and there's actually a fire department on the other side. We will always remember this apartment though, not only because it was the first place we lived together, but it's also where the idea for this channel was born.
You know, sometimes you have to have things taken away to fully appreciate how much they mean to you, and I think that's what's happened this year in a number of ways.
Moving in a month before the COVID shutdowns, we spent a lot of time in there. We were watching YouTube videos, just kind of longing to travel again when everything was shut down. And here we are 3 years later on a quick stopover during a trip around the entire world.
It's always fun to spy on our multi-million-dollar neighbors across the street. What also made this location very attractive is that it was only a 7-minute walk to the nearest L station, which we both took to work every single day. Up until COVID, of course.
Chicago is a city made up of neighborhoods, 178 of them to be exact. Each neighborhood has at least one distinguishing feature that separates it from the rest. We were lucky enough to live in 3 different neighborhoods: Lincoln Park, Old Town, and the South Loop. Chicago's central downtown district is known as the Loop. This is because the city's elevated train lines all converge and create a loop around the downtown area before heading north, south, and west. There are no trains that go east from the Loop because, well, there's a giant lake over there. Chicago has a lot of special quirks and iconic features. Some of our favorites included dyeing the river green on St. Patrick's Day every year, the famous T-Rex skeleton at the Field Museum, affectionately known as Sue, and the beautiful skyscrapers that are some of the tallest in the country. Now back to Lincoln Park, which is right around here. Hey, the King Crab House is still here. Whenever we had friends and family visiting, we always had this as our point of reference because no one could ever find the actual building. So we always said it's right next to the King Crab House, which claims to be the oldest crab house in Chicago. There's a lot of claims like that here in the city, so I don't know if it's true, but really great place. They have a little oyster bar here. Glad to see they're still doing well. And that really was another reason we loved this neighborhood. So many good restaurants, places that we really fell in love with. We got to know the deals, the weekly specials. Our favorite Thursday night dinner spot, Vinci's Pizza, which is right up there. Right here on the corner of Willow and Halsted with this red awning, that was Vinci's Pizza, our favorite Thursday night stop, because they had the best deal in town. They had $12 pizza and beer. That's no longer the case. Inflation hits everybody, I guess. The happy hour deal is still $12 pizza, but $5 for drafts, $5 for glasses of wine. So the drink no longer comes with the pizza. That is a shame. Now just being here is so nostalgic for us. We really just want to hop in there and get a pizza. They have a Bianca pizza that's absolutely fantastic. But they actually don't open till 4, so that happy hour deal is right when they open. While this area of Lincoln Park has fantastic restaurant options, a lot of them are actually pretty pricey, so Vinci's was always like our safe haven. We knew that for $12, a pizza and a beer, we were good to go on Thursday night. But it's funny, right across the street, one of the best restaurants in Chicago. Now I'm certainly not talking about Pizza Capri. We only had that, I think, once, and it was okay. I'm talking about this middle building across the street, the one with all the blacked out windows. It kind of looks like a strip club. This is the world-renowned restaurant Alinea, one of the most famous places in Chicago. It's consistently ranked as one of the best restaurants, not just in this city, but the entire country.
Now, we've never eaten there. We surely don't know anyone who's eaten there, but Kit Harington ate there once when we were living here. Of course, we've done some research on this place. There's no menu available, so we don't even know the prices, but I've heard it's up to $800 a plate.
So even for like a special occasion kind of night, it just wasn't something that we would have ever been able to afford. But hey, maybe it's a perfect time for a little declaration. If we reach 500,000 subscribers on this channel, Sydney and I will come back to Chicago and get our $800 meal at Alinea. I can't imagine why anything would be that expensive. It better be good, but help us get there. Go ahead and subscribe. It's really easy to do and really helps us out.
The neighborhoods here in Chicago are what truly make this city so special. So if you're visiting for the first time, I would strongly encourage you to get out of the Loop, get out of River North, and come explore the surrounding neighborhoods. It's just a completely different vibe in the true Chicago, in my opinion. And on top of that, the best restaurants are up in the neighborhoods and not downtown.
All these neighborhood spots are such a great feature of Chicago. I mean, we are in like a residential area. There's such cool houses this way and that way. I can't think of a lot of other American cities that have this kind of mix of residential and city, like Lincoln Park, Lakeview. So we mentioned how loud and noisy Halsted is. That's literally just a street over. We're here on Burling Street. These are some of the craziest properties here in Chicago. They're right in the middle of Lincoln Park. You can literally see the Hancock Center from here, not too far from downtown. But these people have like a yard. They have a full yard and just a massive, massive modern looking house. This is millions and millions of dollars of property right here. And it's just so crazy because Chicago doesn't have a whole lot of room, but these places are so big. It feels like kind of a country home. But again, you're so close to the city, you can literally see it. I'm sure an Uber from here would only be like 10 minutes to get downtown. It's so crazy during these walks to just think like, who are these people? But these people have to be top of the top in some of the biggest companies in Chicago. I would say considering the cost of living in this city, it would be darn near impossible to own any of these houses making less than $1 million a year.
Okay, now that we're done daydreaming about all the houses we'll never be able to afford, we're here on Armitage Street, which is one of my favorite streets in all of Chicago. There's a ton of cute standalone shops here on this street, a few coffee shops that we love, and some restaurants. So there's a little bit of everything here for you on Armitage.
I just can't tell you how nostalgic this is. This was our daily walking route. This feels so familiar, even though we haven't been here for years. It's just like you fall right back into the swing of Chicago. Now, while Sydney liked to do her shopping on Armitage, I obviously am not that much into shopping. I really like the coffee here at La Colombe. Now, it is a chain, I know it's a chain, but it's only available in several cities. It's in DC, it's in New York, out in the West Coast, and then here in Chicago. We absolutely loved getting coffee at La Colombe, but starting a Saturday morning with an oat black and tan is so nostalgic. I think we're gonna go get one right now.
Hi. Can we do one oat black and tan?
For sure. In the 16 or the 24 ounce?
The 16.
Anything else?
That's all.
I think that's it, yeah.
6:15 whenever you're ready.
Team OBT all the way, baby. Oat black and tan. We mentioned how good the access to transportation here is. You got the red line that way, you also have the brown line this way, which we're about to hop on. These trains are pretty good as far as the accessibility, the locations they go. It can sometimes be really dirty though.
Back in the day when we wanted to ride the L, we would just use our monthly pass, which cost us $105 a month. So we never really knew how much we were spending on these trains, but today we're buying a single ticket for a whole day and it's gonna cost $10.
In this part of Chicago, like the northern neighborhoods, you will have times when you have a 6-way intersection. Count them, 6 ways. And as you can hear behind me, they are noisy, they are absolute chaos. It's crazy because there's these diagonal streets that cut right downtown. It's Lincoln Ave, Clybourne, Elston, help me out, I'm a little out of practice. But they go directly diagonal and they cut right to the city. So when they cut through a big intersection like Fullerton and Halsted, you're gonna literally have 6 ways of traffic.
We're walking down Lincoln Ave. Some of our best spots are on this place, but there's a Sweet Green, and there's now a Cold Stone. Probably a good idea. It came after our time here.
We are right by the campus of DePaul University, so there's actually a lot of really fun college bars this way. The Lion's Head, I remember, was a fun one. They're actually probably all different now. You know, things change so quickly when it comes to college bars and clubs. But it's a good spot for nightlife here in the northern neighborhoods. Pride of San Francisco, Phil's Coffee right across the street. And we always loved, we call these the Singapore trees. Kind of reminds me of those sculptures in Singapore. And this is a very important landmark for us, the Singapore trees, because it is right across the street from one of the most incredible views of the Chicago skyline. We say the word hidden gem a lot. Ew. Sorry, my Chicago's coming out. We say the words hidden gem a lot on this channel, but this might be our best hidden gem we have ever put on this channel. It is one of the best views of the city. Not a lot of people know about it. Also, this wind came out of nowhere. Although Chicago can get very windy because of the tall buildings and the breezes off the lake, the nickname Windy City actually has nothing to do with weather. The original quote referred to the notoriously corrupt Chicago politicians. That is one windy city. Those bastards in charge are full of nothing but hot air and empty promises. This is just a magnificent view of the Chicago skyline, which in my humble opinion is our greatest skyline here in this country. I love New York City to death, but it's just a little too spread out. You've got Midtown, then you've got the financial district, then you've got downtown Brooklyn. This is one beautiful piece of skyline. You can see so much here. That's amazing because again, we're talking about the neighborhoods and how different they are from downtown. There's not a lot of tall buildings here in Lincoln Park. So the fact that we're on the roof of this parking structure, you can see everything in every direction. I've always loved the Velvet Taco just because of their weird concoctions. They're flavors you wouldn't normally think of in a taco, like the Nashville hot, buffalo chicken. They're not taco flavors, but they put them in a taco, which is a perfect vehicle for eating them. Really great place, really creative flavors.
This is the chicken picnic. Basically just rotisserie chicken with an avocado cream sauce, some cilantro, maybe some pineapple. It also has a Dijon mustard on it, which just has amazing flavor. Wow, that's awesome.
You can tell as soon as you walk in there that that is a Chicago establishment because they are selling old style tall boys. People in Chicago seem to love it for some reason. They seem to have like this real infatuation with the history of it. Here's the thing, guys, that is not a Chicago beer. That comes from my homeland of Wisconsin. That is where old style comes from. But honestly, Chicago, if you want it, you can have it. It is a shit beer. Okay, speaking of beer, if you want the cheapest beer in Chicago, Halligan's and Hook and Ladder, these two college bars over here. I think it used to be $4 pints, but now it's probably like 5 or 6 with inflation. You guys, you're not gonna believe this. It's still $4 everything happy hour. I would have bet so much money that it would have gone up to 5 or 6. Also $3 Modelo pints every day. I mean, I know that for most people that probably sounds like, what's the big deal? Here in Chicago, you don't see this anywhere. We're unfortunately way too early. They open at 5. Otherwise we'd probably pop in for a $3 Modelo.
We could show you around Lincoln Park all day. There are a couple other neighborhoods we lived in that we have to show you around.
When we first moved here, everyone said the moment we would know we're a true Chicagoan is we not only know our stop on the red line or whatever train line we're on, you also know the exit you have to go out to be closest to home. Well, I think I lost my card because we just went to the wrong end and had to walk all the way back. But now that we're here, check this out. My apartment's right over there. Such a luxury to be right by the subway. So here's my humble abode. This was such a great location. It's kind of right in the middle of Old Town, the Gold Coast, and River North, walkable to all of them. You can literally see the Hancock Center as you walk out. This was truly one of the greatest locations, but I lived in a shoebox, literally like 360 square feet, and I was still paying over $1,000 a month for the rent. This was a good year. I like this. And I worked right by the river downtown, and A lot of times in the summer, I would just walk all the way home because it is chaos. Chaos on the Red Line around rush hour, like 4 to 5 p.m. Literally like just packed in like sardines. Good memories here. I liked living with Sydney more, but good memories here. Also right next to this church, just a lot of cool architecture over here. Chicago has the coolest architecture in our country. I mean, New York is close because there's just so much of it, but as far as like the individual buildings, this is actually where the skyscraper was invented, right here in Chicago.
I just love this bar. It's called The Lodge, and it's just so unassuming. It doesn't really fit into the vibe of the street or even the city. It looks like you're upstate Wisconsin somewhere in a cabin. I love it.
Okay, so we just settled into the hotel. It is so strange to be in a hotel here in Chicago. This was our home for so long. We obviously never had a need for one. We do have one more location to show you. After we lived in Lincoln Park for about a year, we decided we wanted to check out what it would be like to live a little bit closer into the action. So we moved to the South Loop. It was an up and coming neighborhood at the time, and even with COVID and all of the lockdowns and the places closing, it was still a pretty good place to be. On top of that, mentioning COVID, we got a really good deal. We got a couple months of free rent, and we were, I think it was a 14-month lease. We were there for quite a while, and we really enjoyed it. The great part about this apartment, it was basically a luxury apartment, and it had all of the amenities. It had like a lounge and a rooftop pool, and the view that we had out of this apartment, I don't think we'll ever have a view as cool as that again. It was something that we definitely cherished at the time we were there, because as soon as our lease was over, the rent just skyrocketed. COVID was over, people were kind of like out and about, businesses were reopening, so there was no way we could have afforded that, and besides that, that's when we started our adventure anyway. We have a lot of fond memories from our time in the South Loop, but one of the highlights was when we got to watch Sydney's family dog Aggie for 2 months while our parents were traveling. It was so much fun having a dog in the city. On her last day before we drove her home, we got Aggie a Chicago hot dog. She was so excited that she almost bit my finger off.
She just swallowed
Another crazy experience in that apartment was when an EF3 tornado came within a few miles of the city. Although it didn't end up getting any closer, it was absolutely terrifying being on the 16th floor of a high-rise apartment building and not being entirely sure where to go for safety. So I think a little walk around River North, maybe check out the Riverwalk, and then our last location in the South Loop. Alright guys, full disclosure, we got a little carried away at Little Barbariba, one of our favorite places downtown. It's so funny, we just told you how you should never come down here for the nightlife, but honestly, it's a lot of fun, especially in the summer. The only thing that's gonna hurt in the morning is maybe your head if you had too much sangria, and then your wallet. It's very expensive down here. We just had appetizers and drinks there. One round of drinks, not even multiple drinks, $100, including the tip. It's not the cheapest place to have fun, but you know what? There is only one River North, so. We were thinking about a sunset boat ride along the river. We've totally blew past sunset, but we're still gonna go over there and check out the Riverwalk. And who knows, maybe we do have tomorrow as well. Maybe we'll get out on a boat tomorrow. We are just blocks away from the famous Chicago River. In my opinion, one of the greatest river walks I have ever been to. I know San Antonio has a claim as well, but just talking about the urban feel, all of the skyscrapers, the lights shimmering off the water. I'm kind of glad we're here at night because we'll really get that shimmer. There are a number of bridges that cross over the Chicago River. There's Dearborn, State Street, Clark Street, the DuSable Bridge that goes, basically Michigan Avenue goes into the Magnificent Mile. I happen to think Franklin Street is the best view, but that's all the way over there. We're not gonna get there. We're on Clark, and let's just do Clark. I totally forgot, Clark's one of the best. This never gets old. It's just stunning. The fun thing too about being here at night is you just hear the buzz of the nightlife. There's so many bars down on the Riverwalk itself, and then basically lining this entire river either way. Bars, restaurants, definitely pricey, but it's fun to just sit up on the bridge and observe it all. Also, one of our favorite bars that we are only able to go to every once in a while because it's so freaking expensive, the London House Hotel has an awesome rooftop bar. In fact, that might be the best view you're gonna get of the Chicago River. You can see in the distance, it's got all those colorful lights on it right now. And a little tip, there's usually a line to get up there, but if you just use the elevators for the hotel, you can go to a random floor, and then from that random floor, go up to the top. I just can't get over the buzz that you hear on this river right now. It's a Tuesday night. It's like the worst night to go out, but people are out, people are enjoying the nice weather. It's finally cooled off from the hot day. This river is just always alive in the summer.
There's something very special about being on the boat, reading to a bunch of people that are not on boat.
We could honestly just spend the rest of our night here, but we have one more apartment to show you as mentioned.
Not much happening in the Loop past 8 o'clock.
Yeah, the Loop is not really the place to be at night. This is like where all the big businesses are. So after the workday is over, there's not a lot happening. Nothing like the intense crashing sound of the L. We got so used to that, especially at this last apartment. The L track went right under the building. For a while, it sounded like someone was drilling a hole into the building. But then we just kind of got used to it. It's interesting. So many people know that this is where they filmed The Dark Knight. And when it's nighttime here in the Loop, it honestly kind of feels like Gotham City with all of the lamps and the L tracks and everything. It's just a little spooky sometimes. Here was our digs. We had a Trader Joe's across the street. We also had a Five Guys and a Chipotle right underneath the building. That was way too dangerous, especially during COVID. There she is, 1140. So I did, I lived in 1130 LaSalle and 1140 Wabash. What are the odds of that? We absolutely loved walking through Grant Park. It's always so much fun. And it was just a cool place to be. I mean, some of the best views of the city from all directions. I feel like a park like that isn't really featured in every city. It's something that's really unique to Chicago. It's right in the middle where all the old rail yards used to be. So there's just nothing else around it. You can see the lake, you can see the buildings. Not only were we outside in 95-degree weather all day, we are also still on a little bit of jet lag from Hawaii, so we are just toast. But it was such a fun day. We really enjoyed the opportunity to show you all the places we lived in Chicago. We enjoyed our time here so much, and it was fun to be able to share it and just kind of reminisce in a way that was very interesting. I think we came into this day thinking that we were going to see a lot of change around our neighborhoods, but it was very comforting to see that a lot of things are kind of the same. I mean, in a lot of ways, Chicago is exactly how we left it. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. It's a messy place. It's not a perfect place. Everything you hear in the news isn't true. Some of it is. But we really, really enjoyed living here. It was so much fun, and the skyline behind me, I really don't think there's anything that can beat it. I mean, maybe when you get over to Asia and Singapore and the Middle East and Dubai, but in America, I think this is the most beautiful skyline and all of this park space in front of it just opens it up. You don't have to be on a fancy rooftop bar to see the skyline. You can see it from absolutely anywhere. Definitely check out our next video. We're gonna be doing an iconic Chicago food tour. We're not gonna have time to do everything that you have to eat in Chicago, but we're definitely gonna get a good taste of it. Some of the best restaurants in the world are here, but also just some of the best snacks, some of the best grubby food, hot dogs, Italian beef, pizza. We're gonna get into all of it, so definitely check out that video. And thanks again for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe.